about the lead levels, again, our position is there is no safe level. Getting people to understand that, I think it's going to take a little education, because they got to understand it's two types. And this information has been kept from the public for quite a long time. Like I said again, the 2010 congressional investigation would be equal to the DNA science. But that information hasn't really had a chance for everybody to sit down and say, okay, let me look at that. It's real. How do we address it? And that's where we are. Memphis has a large number of chronically lead poisoned people. We talk about what's happening in the juvenile system, and I was looking at an article the other day that says that I think Memphis has the highest rate of youth being tried as adults. Okay, lead causes extremely aggressive behavior. When we talk about what happened in Memphis, for instance, in 1999 to 2013, we used 10 micrograms as the level for lead poisoning. Okay, if they were to retest now and use what they use in the 5, that would add an additional 60 to 70,000 tests. Okay, so a lot of those people never got any treatment or any awareness that what might be going wrong with them. So now they're in the 20 to 21, 22. Things are not functioning right. They're having all kind of, I say, internal issues, dealing with aggravation in the brain, etc. ADD and ADHD has been proven to actually come from lead exposure. So we have a lot of people in our community that were wounded and they weren't treated. And that's what these are some of the things that we need to talk about, is how do we address those. And we have some ideas of how to address that. We want to create jobs. We want to create an awareness so people understand why they might be having the difficulty they're having controlling their temper or the aggravations. There is hope for people who've been exposed, but they got to know they've been exposed, and that's the goal.
Are you working on, I know you told me the other day you're working on some strategy going forward, etc.
Right.
So are you working on goals and objectives, short range and long range, and would these master classes be a part of that?
Yes. Okay. And part of where our focus is right now is that I think it's extremely important that we get the community educated and we start talking to each other. We talk about the kids that's been affected. We talk about some of the problems the parents are having. We really learn what an idea is about. Now, once we put idea in place, there's going to be some financial burdens. That's why California sued the paint companies, because in California, they were very aware of the idea. Same thing has happened in Cleveland, Ohio. As they implemented idea, the government, under the Trump administration, has cut how much money they now attach to that child, which means the school system will have to pick up more of it. And so there is some legal things that need to be looked at, and who do you direct them at. But the main thing I think is our focus now, we want to talk to the parents. We want to tell them there is hope. We do have an organization. We're out there for you. We want parents to really know your child's lead level. When these tests come out, when they say that they're going to pick a number. They're going to say, I think it's using 5 micrograms. But no level is safe, and it's important for you to know what that level was. Let's talk about it. We're going to share some information. When you have a doctor appointment, you need to make sure you follow up on them, and make sure you get the children tested. Again, I don't know all of what the health department is going to do. We're going to talk more about it, but powder-porphin. I think the test that the health department is going to do is going to be a finger prick, and they're going to tell you what's in the blood now. Okay, but again, there's 2 types of lead poisoning. You got acute and chronic, and lead only stays in the blood for 8 weeks. So we got some issues, to be truthful about it. We got some things that need to be talked about. We got children you're going to test, that's going to get tested, have already been tested by the health department. Okay, those are things that need to be talked about. One of the issues that we want to address, and we're going to do it with the health department, is that we want to be able to identify kids that are lead poisoned from multiple exposures. So if your goal was 5, that you're going to treat a child that gets to 5 micrograms based on the amount of money they have. We know that 5 is not a safe level, but that's what they have it set now based on their budget. Okay, so if a child has had 3 tests and he's had 2 4s and a 3, the science says you absorb 75% of that lead. That child should be classified as lead poisoning. So that's a particular group that we're going to talk about. So it's going to be important that the parents become more educated. We're going to be there to help them. And I think that once we have all the numbers together, whatever we need to do, whether that's educating, legal action, or what those things, but at this point, our group thinks it's really important that we educate the people, get them aware of what's going on, and it's still a good chance for us to solve the problem or to do what our goal was when we started off 10 years ago, was to be a city who can show other cities how to openly talk about and address this issue.
Omar.
Let me ask you a question. I know they require shots for children, you know, from the health department for different things, measles, mumps, and whatever. Why can't they require lead testing as a part of that regime of vaccinations, just to test your child to see if your child has a problem with the lead in their system? And that way, when they start school, they know exactly what they got to do in case those things crop up in the child's academic arena.
That's a valid point, and that's one of the things that I say I'm a little disappointed that our city didn't do what some of the other cities did. Like in Cleveland, Ohio, when they realized that 68% of the kids in a particular community were exposed to lead, the mayor said, test all the children. Memphis has never been less than 90% of the children in those areas having lead in there. Yet we didn't test all of the children. Now we missed it. Okay, can we fix that? Do we need to address that? So the point you bring up about us having more testing, cities who go through what we're going through, you have to implement what's best for your city. So those are one of the requirements that we need to talk about. More blood testing. Why? Because you're in the community or you're in an area that's been identified as a hot spot. With the help of the University of Memphis, we actually know areas or blocks of areas where, for whatever reason, many of those children in those areas are lead exposed. Now, when we did an assessment by going through the community, we saw what some of the exposures could be. Fire hydrants peeling lead paint, poles, old houses with paint on them, old buildings with the paint falling off of it, light poles with lead paint. So there's a number of things in the community that are exposing people. And then when you talk about I think I mentioned to you about the grinding of the yellow lines. I saw them grind the yellow lines off at the library, and that was lead paint. And so there's a lot of things happening in our community that we have to put a stop to. There's cities where it's outlawed for you to use those lead weights that you put on the wheels to balance you can't use those in a lot of cities. Memphis is a city that needs to get down to pot of porphin. I think the test that the health department is going to do is going to be a finger prick, and they're going to tell you what's in the blood now. Okay, but